I'm Jean-Daniel Ostel of the Java Card Forum, and today is my pleasure to welcome you on this webinar, which is part of our 2025 webinar series. Our guest today is Mikhail Friedland, which is the CEO of jNet, a Java Card Forum member company. Mikhail is a long-time technical leader in Java Card and global platform systems. As such, he has led major certification and development of Java Card-based products and components for applications as diverse as payments, IoT, biometry, and medical. In today's disrupted session, we will explore how Java Card-based secure elements are bringing intelligence directly into next-generation medical and surgical devices, supporting trusted data handling, device attestation, real-time decision, and on-device artificial intelligence with regulated healthcare environments. You will be able to ask questions at the end of the webinar. We will open the microphone. During the presentation, it will be muted. But if you want to go ahead and ask questions during the presentation, you have the chat window where anytime you can post a question that will be answered during the Q&A session. Without waiting anymore, Mikhail, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you very much for such introduction. We're ready to present. And today we'll be talking about the convergence of two technologies. So we have on one side the additive manufacturing, also known as 3D printing. And then we have high assurance security, which is the technology evolving from payment and government ID, smart card applications. So we aren't talking about, we are not talking about printing shapes anymore. We are talking about printing in-device intelligence and trust to be used in the medical equipment. So the core thesis of this presentation is simple. So the future of medical manufacturing is decentralized, it's digital and personalized. But such decentralization creates a massive attack surface. You can print, for example, a surgical tool in a hospital basement using 3D printer, but how do you know that it is safe? How does one know that the tool hasn't been tampered if it came from a supplier? The answer is not really in the materials or plastic or titanium. It's in a cryptographic root of trust embedded inside. The next slide. So we have a sort of transformation in the market. The 3D medical device printing is increasing, is basically hitting at $20 billion a year by 2034. And that's roughly 18 compound growth rate. There is also a counterfeit market growing with exceeding $10 billion on the supply side and with such a lucrative market, risking the patient safety. To counteract this, the FDA issued a series of cybersecurity guidelines, mandates over the last couple years, and we will talk about device authentication per FDA rules. And then there is also the ISO document focused on traceability. It's the ISO 13485, which requires cryptographically signed manufacturing records for complete audit trails. Now we have the, let's see why additive manufacturing is growing so fast. First of all, and how this is going to be done. So first of all, during the CAD design, computer-aided design, it's not that difficult to create tiny cavities to integrate secure elements into the final device part. We are literally talking microchips the size of 5 by 5 millimeters with a thickness less than a millimeter. So these are not significant cavities to be embedded into the devices. Yet such microchips provide incredible CPU power. Literally, maybe slightly larger microchips, 7 by 7 or 6 by 6 millimeter, are enough to, for example, run an advanced operating system like real-time OS or even small Linux deployment. In this, however, case, we will be talking about something that's been proven over the last 20 years, and that's the certified Java card deployment with excellent track record from the payment industry and government ID. So we're talking about EMVCO certified solutions and government ID solutions, literally billions and billions of chips produced over the last 20 years. So essentially, this merging of technology involves the 3D printing plus this proven technology from EMVCon and government ID, and to design the anti-tamper solutions. Okay. Not only that, this allows also the just-in-time customization where certain patient-specific implants can be authenticated individually via unique data stored under as Java card IDs. Now, why this platform has been chosen? Again, this track record that the Java card from Oracle and its Oracle licensees that goes such rigorous certification um, on very sophisticated chips nowadays coming from Infineon, NXP, STMicro, and other vendors. But in this particular case, the silicon is more of a kind of a hosting platform. The main benefit here is the Java card architecture that enables the applets that we're sort of planning to deploy. Okay. Um, so unlike some custom firmware that is bundled with the operating systems, the Java card applets are standardized, proven, and can be easily deployed across multiple silicon vendors. Um, for example, there can be like a patient data applet right next to cryptographic key applet, which are mathematically and functionally separated. Okay. Then there is the other reason, which is the global platform standards. Global platform is the layer above Java card, and this is a management layer. So this allows us to treat the secure channel as the entity through which, as the kind of a roadmap through which the applets can be loaded, keys can be updated, and permissions can be managed securely. It makes the solution portable. It also allows the one silicon vendor, in case it has a storage, it allows the medical manufacturer to switch silicon vendor or supplement the deliveries by using another silicon vendor and still keeping the same applet or applets. Okay. Cybersecurity compliance. So this is essentially the compliance, FDA, and regulatory policies. Okay. So to a medical device manufacturer, the FDA is the ultimate gatekeeper. So the device will not hit the markets on a commercial basis unless it gets FDA approval. So the value proposition is that we solve the biggest headache first, which is the compliance. Since FDA requires the privileged access management, one must prove that one must prove access to the device root functions. So this is the Java card architecture that handles such concepts very elegantly through the role-based control mechanisms. There is also possible FIP certification, and the we are talking about FIPS 140-3, which is the certification that currently is prevailing and recommended by the NIST. And obviously the platform to be deployed in 3D printing must be FIPS 140-certified to provide some assurance for the manufacturers. Typically, such a certification may take from 1 to 2 years, but it gives the assurance that cryptographic operations can be counted. It gives the assurance of life cycle transitions, as well as the transition to FIPS-approved mode of operation. There is also digitization of the UDI, which is a unique device identifier. Yes, the printed barcode on a sterile bag is fine, but it can be photocopied. So instead, a cryptographically signed UDI inside a secure element is something that is required. It cannot be cloned. Essentially, it guarantees that the chain of custody, and it also prevents barcode forgery. It ensures that the device is recorded in patient's file and before it is implanted. Now, let's take a look at the case study that we recently, based on the project we recently completed with the US robotic surgical device. So essentially, the robot drills a bone with some sub-millimeter precision. So in case a hospital buys a cheap knockoff drill bit that dulls easily, the robot might push too hard and crack the bones. So therefore, the robot needs to know and needs to be sort of told that the tool is genuine and sharp. And for that reason, the Java card applet, together with the virtual machine, is embedded into a drill bit. When a nurse clicks into, for example, a robotic arm, a cryptographic handshake occurs, and this needs to be very fast, something under maybe 1/3 of a second. Essentially, the robot goes through the handshaking. For example, are you certified drill? And the drill responds yes with a challenge signed by a private key. Then the math computation goes forward, and unless there is a successful verification, the robot will not launch the spin. For this reason, it is in fact impossible to bypass such a verification scheme with a physical counterfeit. And then there is another layer. As the drill operates, it also sends telemetry details, for example, torque, temperature, speed, maybe some other factors. The custom applet designed for this robot signs this data in real time. And if the hacker or malicious attacker tries to inject false data to fool the robot into like dealing deeper, such signature will fail and the system will perform some kind of an emergency stop under the control condition. So essentially, it's like a mix of cryptography running in real time. So that's where there is a slight sort of deviation from the Java card. But nevertheless, it's essentially we're talking about taking Java card into a new non-smart card form factor domain. So there are challenges that need to be sort of handled appropriately. Let's talk about the surgical instrument security. So there are multiple ways to implement this. Currently, they're being done with the native proprietary operating system and essentially business logic bundled all together. Obviously, the surgical tools are expensive assets, and they need to undergo, for example, sterilization. So this is one thing. Then there is a metal fatigue. After a certain number of autoclave cycles, there are microfractures that occur on these devices. Currently, hospitals use like a manual tick sheets to track this, but it is involving human operators. It's error prone and it could be dangerous. Okay? Then there is the so-called limit enforcing. Um, the use of monotonic counters supported by secure elements allows going through the sterilization machine so that when a counter hits a threshold, let's say a 200 sterilization, it can force the life cycle to be terminated, and therefore the tool electronically will refuse to function unless the device is replaced. Okay? So essentially, we are enforcing physical limits through some software business logic. So in principle, this needs to be treated as a sort of a black box for surgery. In case there is a, let's say, malpractice lawsuit, the fact that all guidelines were followed with logs to prove, with digital signatures, will help protect the hospital as well as the manufacturer from the lawsuit liability. Device lifecycle attestation, what is it? So let's give an example. If if Java is the worker, the global platform is the manager. So essentially, this standard defines how we manage the chips over the time. We must realize that the medical devices can be deployed for 10 or 15 years. So we cannot ship it now and forget about it because we need to update it. There is a vulnerability in case, for example, an encryption algorithm is found to be is found to have a vulnerability, let's say 5 years from now. With global platform, one might have to recall, let's say 50,000 units or 50,000 pacemakers. Essentially, with global platforms, so-called Amendment H, or as some call it over the air, it is possible to load a newly updated applet or rotate the keys or patch the security vulnerability to make the tool safe again or secure again. So essentially, this can turn a 100 million physical recall into a simple software patch update. Okay. So essentially, to accomplish this, one needs to implement a state management to rigorously manage the life cycles. So one can have, for example, a manufacturing state when the device is first assembled, then issued state, and then the operational state when device is finally being prepared for surgery. Disposal supplies. So there are some supplies which are, as we mentioned before, go through a few hundred cycles, and then there are disposable supplies. These supplies are, for example, cables or patches that are placed on a patient that include secure elements inside them, integrated inside the cables. And essentially, these type of disposable supplies guarantee that the data that flows through the cable can be authenticated or can be integrity checked as well. So basically, for example, medical industry often runs on sort of razor blade model. In other words, they sell their equipment at bargain prices or prices that cover the cost of manufacturing, and then they assume that they would make their profit on a model where they keep selling the disposable supplies. If the disposables are replaced by gray market parts, then we're having a problem where the manufacturers are no longer able to maintain decent profit and may actually have to sort of exit the manufacturing business. So it is important to safeguard the disposable supplies with cryptography, with expiration enforcements, and this would sort of ensure the revenue protection against the gray market refills. Now, with all the secure elements embedded inside 3D parts, how do they get powered? Okay. The ideal situation would be to exclude the batteries inside medical devices and to power the devices using NFC antennas. So this requires small NFC wired antennas to be placed into the 3D printed devices. And this also benefits in another way. Essentially, it makes the shelf life um, issue a non-present because the devices do not need to be powered all the time. So these are passive devices, fully disposable. They are activated only when they come in contact with the electrical field, and they power up the secure elements, resulting in a transaction that needs to be performed, and resulting in a lower cost due to lack of batteries. The other possibility is, let's say, BLE, which is a more kind of a sophisticated solution requiring, for example, a sealed battery. Typically, they last from 1 week to maybe 2 weeks. And these are for kind of a more sophisticated 3D printed parts or devices. There is also a possibility to wire or to power these devices through a single wire interface. And this is possible by designing the surgical tools with connectors to accommodate this on a robotic controller. Having the NFC antenna also brings the additional benefit. It removes the security friction when, for example, passwords, dongles, and logins need to be entered manually. But with the NFC, the automation can be performed such that devices can go through the verification simply by engaging into an authentication over the NFC interface. So essentially, it's possible to implement proof of presence. It's very similar to a FIDO application with NFC requiring close proximity, like 4 centimeters, is is actually a feature. It's not a bug. Essentially, it proves that the operator is physically in the room. It cannot be hacked. It cannot be monitored by a sniffer located a few meters away. And this proof of presence is critical in administering the high-risk commands. For example, like changing the insulin pump dosage. Okay? Then there is also secure bootstrapping. It's possible to use NFC like a tap to authenticate for complex Wi-Fi or Bluetooth key exchange, encryption key exchange. And it makes the pairing instant and much more secure because it eliminates this Bluetooth pairing frustration that's plugging so many medical devices. And then obviously every tap is a cryptographically signed event that can be stored in a log. again, as a precaution in case of liability lawsuit. There is also the Bluetooth risk. Bluetooth is convenient, but has a history of vulnerabilities. It's not a great idea to rely on Bluetooth for security alone. It's great as a transport layer, but its security sometimes is breached. So the applet level encryption needs to be implemented for medical payload data before it even touches the Bluetooth radio. So that means that if the hacker sometimes intercepts the Bluetooth stream with a sniffer or with some kind of a monitoring device, essentially they would only be getting the encrypted payload for analysis and nothing else. So they'll still need to hack the encryption, such as AES or asymmetric cryptography to get anything useful. So essentially what we are getting into is the secure over-the-air downloads with the firmware updates, with the device attestation, and privacy, which is compliant by the FDA, by the FDA specification review. Where do we go with the post-quantum, right? So it's more of a 20-year problem. For example, it is possible to implant a pacemaker this year in 2025, and it still be in patient's chest by 2045. So it's quite possible that in 10 years, the quantum computers may be able to break the RSA 2048 encryption. It's not clear why would anybody launch an attack like this, because there is no financial reward, but nevertheless, such an attack cannot be discounted. So for that reason, the beauty of Java card is that it will support the post-quantum cryptography in its next release using the MLDSA and MLCAM algorithms. So these are the NIST selected standards, and we don't need to wait until 2030s. In principle, if a secure element supporting this algorithms is available now, one can code the applet in a so-called hybrid bridge approach, where a certain signing procedures are implemented, let's say using RSA or ECDH for the current systems, and then keeping the PQC for future compatibility. When there is a PQC deployment and when it's felt that PQC is ready, the applet can be over-the-air upgraded to switch to PQC algorithms without recall of the equipment. So future, what else is possible on the embedded Java card applications? It is also possible to embed fingerprint matching that runs on secure element with the template stored and verified on the secure element, as well as the fingerprint extraction to be made on secure element as well. So it's meaning it never leaves the device, and the match occurs on the device itself. It's impossible to extract the template or to do anything with it. Okay. Some are also experimenting with the tiny ML applets, and essentially it's like a cardiac monitor that doesn't record data but runs a machine learning model inside a secure element to detect, for example, arrhythmia. In case if it detects like a lethal sequence, it may send an alert with the highest priority. So this is kind of a little bit further into the future when machine learning can be implanted, but I would not preclude this from happening a few years down the road. And then there is another component, which is zero knowledge proofs. So essentially, it allows the device to prove it is FDA compliant to third party without revealing its proprietary internal code or patient data. So this is the DKM algorithms essentially are sort of evolving, and it verifies the truth of statement without revealing the data behind it. We feel that it would be possible for quite a few entries into this market, with the big three companies, Infineon and XPST, providing the necessary hardware, but essentially the battlefield is, for example, is in the applets and in the crypto algorithms, applet downloading tools, and implementation of medical device manufacturers' business logic inside the applet. The vendor independence is the most important element here, because the vendors may want to implement their unique solution on as a Java card applet or several applets. And what's important to them is that there is, for example, supplementary security domain separations in case they're from multiple vendors, and the ability to upgrade the applets in the field using Amendment H so that they can avoid costly recalls. For that reason, there is a market opportunity, we feel, and because the industry at this strategic inflection point. And that's what the 3D printing technologies, coupled with the trusted sort of in-device intelligence, brings in. So essentially, it's like a 1 + 1 = 3 case where there is quite a bit of interest and margins in this type of solutions. It is a scalable model. It offers the, for example, licensable IP plus per device royalties to create recurring revenues for the entry. So we feel it will generate some industry activity. In our case, we do intend to build upon the experience we gained over the last year working on a medical solution that we developed, and sort of look at other opportunities coming up next year. I think I'm done. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to respond to them.
Okay, thank you, Mikhail. I think we can now open the microphone if you have any questions. In the meantime, there is one question on the chat. How is secure provisioning handled when the secure element is physically embedded in the printed device and no longer accessible?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your last 5 seconds? How is secure provisioning handled?
How is secure provisioning handled when the secure element is physically embedded in the printed device and no longer accessible?
It needs to be accessible in order to function. It needs to have the NFC capability, first of all, to power, and second, to provide the attestation, to provide life cycle. So it's not a model designed for non-accessible secure element. This is the beauty of this, is that it provides the communication, it provides end-to-end cryptography if necessary. So I don't think this is the use case where secure element is not accessible.
Okay, okay. So basically, you expect to have accessibility through NFC.
Yes, yes. If there is no accessibility, then essentially we're embedding smarts and not having, I mean, maybe there is a use case where without NFC and with some small battery, the secure element can function, can execute some business rules. For example, let's say securing a, let's say, sprinkler controller, and it would prevent a malicious attack against somebody changing the watering times or something like this. But these are not the use cases that we are focused with the 3D printing.
Okay. There's another one, which is, can passive NFC-powered elements participate in attestation workflows requiring asymmetric crypto?
Yes, yes. So essentially, we are talking about the same model that occurs during the cryptogram calculation using, let's say, RSA in EMVCo applications such as Visa, VSDC, or MasterCard M-Chip. So there are contactless cards that can perform asymmetric transactions we're using NFC only.
Okay.
Again, as I mentioned, we are
Um,
simply leveraging, I mean, with this approach, people are leveraging the proven technology that's been around for 20 years.
yeah. There's another one about the retention periods of the logs. And it says you mentioned audit logs that were kept on device. Secure element, what is the storage capacity for logs?
It depends on secure element chosen. It depends on the applet design. It obviously there are such issues as cost. There are secure elements with up to 1 MB of storage. Obviously, these are more expensive than secure elements with the 300 kilobytes. So it all depends on what is the model, but in principle, it is possible to design an application that provides the logs, and the logs can be, for example, handled as like a circular buffer, storing the last, 1,000 cycles, um, or for example, just using a circular buffer with, let's say, 16 kilobytes of data storage. So, I mean, the logs can be implemented in a number of models. It is also possible to upload the logs once in a while, clearing the buffer so that the entire log history of that particular drill, for example, can be preserved.
Okay. And now there's a question about devices that would be already on the field, and when there would be some update to do to support the post-quantum algorithm. Is there a way to support PQC standard post-issuance?
Yes, as I mentioned, we start with the platform with the, for example, silicon first. So what we need is the silicon platform that already supports a hybrid model. That is the RSA ECDH, for example, plus the PQC right now. So on this platform, we design a hybrid model for the applet itself that currently handles the RSA or ECDH signing algorithms. The global platform must have the in-field upgradability, which is Appendix H. And therefore, when the time comes when PQC algorithms need to be implemented, when there is a real threat of somebody launching a malicious attack against the medical equipment, the applet can be redesigned or modified, um, since the applet was written with field upgradability in mind. The applet will be updated on all stocked devices before they're put into a surgical unit, such that the applet switches the PQC algorithms. From that point on, the robot would also be modified to make sure it is working only with the devices with the applet 2.0 instead of 1.0. And this way, the alignment between the robotic equipment and the one-time disposable devices or devices maintaining the life cycle counter can be aligned prior to the medical procedures to make sure that the PQC algorithms are used.
Okay. I will question. I will have a question myself on the scalability of this because
Mhm.
you mentioned that the chip were a commodity, but I guess that in the long term, the the ecosystem would require multiple sources. And how will the trust be established? Because you would have multiple vendors with multiple applets, and that you would put this into medical equipment. So all this probably is based on PKI, but how is the trust established between all these people, the end users, the manufacturer of equipment, the people that will be shipping the parts, including the secure element, how this trust is established?
Probably the same way a trust was established in the case of EMVCO or common criteria, government ID, e-passport applications. So you start with a silicon that is EMVCO certified, a silicon that comes with the applet security guidelines for the developers. And this silicon is validated as a candidate platform. And typically, each deployment would be offered, for example, each medical applet would be offered on two or even three silicon platforms. So it'll be strictly Java card compatible. It will run on a certified silicon, let's say EAL6 Plus, which passes the FDA certification. And from that point on, we are simply talking about well-written Java card applets that are easily portable from one platform to the other and in-field upgraded using Amendment H on a global platform side.
Okay. Okay. And do you think there would be an ecosystem of these applets, or would there be any standards you think that will emerge? And if so, where would these standards be discussed?
It's hard to say, but again, I don't think I'll be wrong if I say that there'll be like a mini ecosystems like we have today in EMVCO, which consists of Visa VSDC, M-Chip Advance. We have American Express, as well as Discover applet, as well as RuPay applet in India, and a few localized, maybe closed payment applets. So overall, I would say there are maybe 10 EMVCO certified or certifiable applets in the world. And something like this could start with the medical device industry. I would assume there will be a lot more because the use cases are literally multiplying once you start.
Okay. Okay. But
Basically, with EMVCO, we have device compatibility. Every applet must work with every terminal around the world. In this case of a medical devices, such compatibility is not necessary. An applet must only work with a particular medical device, assuring the attestation, life cycle, upgradability. So because of that, the number of such applets could multiply with great speed.
mhm. Okay. Okay. And do you see any association or standard group that would kind of standardize and rule, govern about this, around these applets?
Again, I'm not an industry insider. We are a technology company. So basically, at this point, we're acting as the technology company, um, sort of implementing a delivery for a particular customer. Okay. So whatever happens in the industry will be the result of, for example, when industry grows significantly, there'll be some need to sort of bring everything under the constructive way of working, so that all vendors can work together, and some kind of organization will need to be established for sure.
Okay. Do we have any? We don't have any more question on the chat, but do we have any question where we can open the microphone? Just ask if you want. No, no question. I would have one on the cost, because most of well, a lot of these medical equipment are disposable, and so what do you think is the cost of a secure element low enough that this will be still something viable?
I think the question should be asked in reverse. What is the cost of not doing it? What is the cost of not implementing a security scheme that rejects the gray market devices from being used in surgeries and exposing the hospitals and doctors and medical device manufacturers to potential lawsuits? Okay, so for example, 50-cent secure element embedded into a device like this can eliminate a lawsuit like this.
Okay, understood. And sorry. Also, I think these devices, when they will be ready, there will be some life cycle, and this, other industries we assume that we have supply chain volatility. Is it something that could affect the availability of some of these devices, or is it an issue, you think, this volatility?
I'm not sure I understand the question. So the question is whether life cycle
Well,
management.
you know that they could be a chip shortage, for example, and
Yes.
if there is such chip shortage, then is it something that you would have to have another supply and recertify at the FDA, or you feel that JavaCard is bringing some independence of this shortage?
Yeah, the Java card, essentially what it does, it allows everyone to participate on equal footing. So, so if let's say we are a strictly medical applet developers company, okay? So we don't, even though we do offer the Java card OS, but in this case, let's say we focus on Java card applets only. So in this case, we look at the big three. If there is significant applet shortage, we take a look at what's available from certified products, let's say in Asia, let's say Samsung, maybe Starchip or some other let's say EMBICO certified or common criteria certified devices. And the shortage could be alleviated by, okay, making a one-time purchase of other Java card compatible platforms, deploying our platform, testing it, and plugging the gap in a short run. That's actually the advantage of Java card, is that the applet should not change. The certification algorithms needed for a particular equipment should not change. It's only the silicon that needs to be compatible. So it's essentially it's like let's say I'm writing a poem in Microsoft Word. Okay, if all of a sudden my laptop dies and I need to finish a poem, all I need to do is to get another laptop that supports Microsoft Word. I'll copy that content into that editor and finish my poem.
Okay, understood. Do you have any questions from the audience?
Do I have any questions or other?
No, no,
Are you asking?
I'm just
Okay.
asking the participants if they want to
Sure,
ask
sure.
directly a question. No, okay. So I think it was pretty clear. Thank you, Mikhail, for this presentation on something that we are not used to see in the world of secure element with the big verticals that we are used to have. This is, I think, a new emerging field, and there's a lot of things to do. The presentation has been recorded, and it will be available on the JavaCard Forum webinar page. You will be able to look to the replay of the presentation, and at the same time, if you look to the site, you will have also the webinars from the previous years and from this year. So still interesting and relevant content if you want to browse the webinar webpage, which is also available on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel with the JavaCard Forum webinars. There's still two webinars to go, one tomorrow and one on Thursday. If you have not registered, please look to the content on the webinar page. If you want to register, one is on the stepping stone for the embedded SIM, and the other one is for the digital currencies. It's still time to register for tomorrow and Thursday. And with this, thanks for attending. I hope this was interesting for you, and stay tuned for the remaining of the webinar. And good afternoon and good day, everyone.
Thank you for organizing and inviting me. Thank you very much, all.
You're
Have a
welcome.
great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mikhail.
Bye.